Round 19 in the books, and this marks the end of a very important period for fantasy and the beginning of the end game, right? So we're at the end game now. We are basically out of the origin period. We're basically out of the major buy rounds. We're now targeting the top guns, but this is that last week of major buy rounds. So hopefully you made up some ground. Personally, my team dropped a bit. I opted to save about 750K in the bank this week. So my side is a bit weak this week. I've got the money though next week to make a big upgrade. So if you did drop back, just make sure you make the right upgrades this week. If you rose up the ranks, congrats to you. You've nailed it. So let's get right into it here first with the Dolphins and the Bunnies. So in this game, Alex Johnson, an unlikely top scorer. Look, 2 tries, 3 line breaks, 8 tackle breaks, 156 run meters. Look, Johnson, when he gets going and when that wing gets firing, he is a massive beneficiary. So no surprises here. Koloamatangi, 74 minutes, 65 points, had the try saver, 40 tackles, 185 run meters. Again, he just keeps pumping out the points, and the price, 756K, he's not cheap anymore. Question is, does he keep that lock spot when Cam Murray is back and fully fit and not involved in Origin? I personally think that Cam Murray's arguably the best lock in the game, so I would have Cam Murray as a starting lock over basically anyone in the league. But at the same time, Koloamatangi is in great form, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Murray might stay on the edge. If he does, Koloamatangi is a keeper. But if Koloamatangi goes back to the edge spot, his average drops down to sort of 45 to 50 points, which is a bit lower than what we've been seeing recently, which is more like a 60. So keep that in mind as well. Kobe Farmer at 64 points, grabbed a try in this game. He was unstoppable. We love to see that. Bostock, Arrow, Jack Whiten as well. Big scores. So Whiten, 58 points is really cool to see. Tavita Pangai scored a try, got 58 points. He's at a pretty interesting price as well. So if you did want a pod, I don't know, I'm going to have him on my watch list. I can't bring myself to do it just because the minutes aren't massive. So 51 minutes is about the highest we're going to see from Tavita Pangai Jr. Although at the same time, with Plath playing a bit of hooker, maybe the minutes do open up for him and maybe he does kill it. He has done it in the past before. Damien Cook, 51 points, good score from him. But South Sydney losing does open up a bit of risk that Mama Zels will get more minutes as we go along. Jai Gray, 49 points, had the try. He was goal kicking as well. Really good performance from him at 330K. A lot of us got onto him. Then who else we got here? Trey Fuller, Asako, both good scores. Getting down the list here, Max Plath, 80 minutes is very encouraging. 35 points is less encouraging. But I think he's a talented enough guy that he'll adjust and get those points as we go forward. So don't overreact on that score just yet. And then down the bottom of the list here, no one super interesting to talk about, just 2 here actually. Sean O'Sullivan, super talented guy. I really like O'Sullivan. When he gets the opportunity, he's big. The thing to look at here is that Nicarima did go off in this game with a small injury. We'll keep an eye on that. But if O'Sullivan ever gets a long-term opportunity, he's a guy we're going to look at bringing him in. And then Ewan Aitken obviously copped that injury as well. So 5 points. He's out for an extended period of time is what I'm hearing. Just keep your eye on basically the NRL casualty ward to see what happens there. But for Ewan Aitken, it's really bad news. So if you have him, you're probably going to have to make a trade there. You got 8 trades coming to your inbox this week. So you got the trades for it. Hopefully he's all right. Hopefully a quick recovery for you and Aitken. All right, next up, Sharkies and the Tigers. And Mulatalo, 78 points, one of the top 5 scorers of the week. Massive game from him. He was one of 3 Sharks, actually, that was in the top 5. So we had Mulatalo. We had Nakora as well. Grabbed a try assist, line break assist. Also 33 tackles and 2 forced turnovers. So an all-round performance from Nakora with 73 points. And then Trindle also scored 73. The try and 3 try assists were the big parts of his game here. Again, looking at Trindle, he's got to be on your watch list, right? Because as much as the Sharks are on a bye this week for round 20, he's a guy who averages about 50 points a week when Hines doesn't play. And he's priced at 469K. You know, that break even this week was 31. That's going to be shooting right down as well. So you're going to get him for about 500K. Could be a pseudo keeper if you are short on cash, which I know a lot of coaches are right now. Kale started super hot. He was on about 50 points after 14 minutes or something. Ended up on 61, which wasn't huge. But for him, look, we're happy to see a big score. It's probably his biggest score we've seen recently. So happy with that big number, but thought it might be a bit higher as we were watching the game. Ramian, Braley, really strong here. Bateman and Samuel Afino as well, 49 points. Happy to see him. He just keeps on motoring. Atkinson could be another cheaper option that we look at as well. 48 points is really strong. Galvin in a big loss, scoring 48. I'm actually very encouraged by that. So he's a young half, but he doesn't play like a young half. So happy to see a big number from him. Cam McInnes, less minutes this week, 45 points. Look, it happens in his rotations. So you just got to cop that sometimes. Coruscant did cop a little bit of a calf niggle, so he had the calf iced up after the game. I'm not sure what the severity of it is. Waiting scan results, that are being publicized, but I would expect Coruscant will be out for a couple of weeks, is my guess. But again, just keep an eye on the NRL casualty ward for that as well. And then down the list here, is anyone else? Tokomanu, 27 points. Not ideal if you're in a Tokomanu owner. Again, he's a guy who he can produce 60 points a week, but it just didn't go that way. He's much more of a ball in hand kind of prop than a defensive prop too. So the way this game went really didn't suit him, and you got a really bad fantasy score out of this one. And then down the bottom of the list here, Teague Wilton, 23 points in 74 minutes. He's getting cheaper and cheaper, and it's the wrong time of year for it, but he could be value for someone who's looking for a really cheap option in the edge back row spot. Down the bottom of the list here, no one else really interested here, so I'll move to the next game, and we'll jump into Parramatta and the Titans. And it's tough for me to talk about Parramatta right now. They're doing, as a Para fan, it's been a struggle. Look, I love so many individuals in the team, and I think they've got a lot of ability, but the scorelines haven't been great for my boys. So look, I'll just try and keep it impartial. But here for the Titans, let's go through this first. So for Chris Randall, lock down that lock spot. Look at this: 50 tackles, 2 tackle breaks, no missed tackles, 2 offloads, and a forced turnover. 68 meters run. So 68 points, no attacking plays basically at all. Just a massive workman's performance. He is a guy who, if he keeps that role, he is very interesting at that price. I just don't know if he's going to keep that role because the Titans are changing what they do in the forward pack so much. Jaden Campbell kept his spot in the team. So obviously we saw AJ Brimson come back at the last minute. Keeney was the guy to make way, but Campbell, 67 points. Great game from him. He had the 3 try assists in this one. Just really dominant performance from Campbell. Regan Campbell-Gillard played 69 minutes, had that big line break as well, 63 points. Could be an option we look at, actually. So they have the buy in round 20, but if he's going to get big minutes with Junior Paulo out of the team and Jermaine Hopgood out of the team as well, then, hey, I'm not above getting a bit creative with it, and that's a great mustache as well. So, you got to respect the stash. Philip Sami did the Gutherino, which was a bit of a highlight of the game. Made some money for charity there. 62 points is a great score from him coming off the bench and slipping into the starting side. Bo Firma back into the edge back row spot, 61 points. Dave Fafita only played 66 minutes, but scored 59 points. So again, really strong performance from him. Dylan Brown, without Moses, he goes well. So 56 points. It's a good fantasy performance. I'd probably trade him out now at this stage. Penasini with a 46. I'm getting on the list here. Sean Lane, 42, but has a bit of an injury concern. Sam Verrills played big minutes, scored 41. Hands with a 41 is solid. Cartwright, 38 off the bench. We don't mind that. And then down the list here, Lorenzo Molitalo, 36 points with 8 tackle breaks and 3 offloads. Pretty good base performance from him. Madison with a 30 and Talangi with a 33. We expect a bit more from those guys. Geimer with 41 minutes and 27 points. That's fine. You hope for more, but that's okay for a cash out guy. I don't mind that at all. Brimson only played 52 minutes, scored 22 points, and Keeney played the other 28 minutes and scored 18 points. So between the two of them, they scored 40 points, basically, fullback. But unfortunately, they split it, so not great for fantasy owners. And then Tungo and Matt Arthur, if you're looking at cash outs from Parramatta, 11 points and 6 points. So not ideal from them. Tungo had a rough night, and we'll see what Parramatta does. I don't know if they really are looking to drop any of these guys. I think they're just trying to give these guys a go to see what they have and to let Riles know what he has in terms of depth for next year so he can make the moves he needs to make as the new head coach. All right, Broncos and the Dragons next up here. Look, Broncos, 6 losses in a row is really tough for a team who they're in the, I talk about being a Para fan, right? So I get it. They're in the grand final last year and they've sort of fallen off a bit this year. Para did that, South Sydney did that as well. It really is a testament to what Penrith have done in terms of holding that dynasty down such a long time. But going through the fantasy scores here, Christian Tuipulotu, he dominated, right? So 10 tackle breaks in this game, 3 tries, 3 line breaks, 72 fantasy points, only 0.3% owned, an average score of 30.4 points. So he hasn't been producing these types of numbers before, but when you watched him in that game, you thought, why hasn't he, right? Because he was so hard to put down. Do I think this is the change or the sign of a trend that's coming up on him? Probably not. I don't think the quality of ball that's getting to Tuipulotu is going to be there. I think they have other players like Lomax in particular that they like to favor instead with that ball. So I wouldn't be going to Tuipulotu as a buy option personally. Jaden Sewer really showed up, so didn't get picked for Queensland Origin and showed us why he should have been there, basically, with his 67-point game. So that was a great score from him. Tony Staggs had 2 tries in this game. Had a sin bin at one point, so you thought, oh, no, he's gone off the rails here. But he really lit it up down the stretch. So you love to see that from Staggs. Jensen with a big score. Whenever he gets the opportunity, he gets it done. So mad respect to him. Jack DeBellin showed his owners that he is still here to play. Re-signed with St. George recently as well. 54 minutes, 58 points. So again, a big score from him. Saying that PPM is probably not sustainable. So if he's going to play those minutes, I am probably going to be looking to be selling Jack DeBellin this week. Down the list here, Little, good score. Xavier Wilson, 53 points. Luciano Leilua with a 49. Moser scored a try and he got 47. Keep an eye on Moser. He looked really good in this game, actually. So he might be a guy who gets more and more minutes as we go along. And then Walters, Mam, Tapau, decent scores. Eisenhuth, going down the list here. Is there anyone noteworthy we want to talk about here? Let's see. Piakura, 23 points in 80 minutes. 23 points, 35 tackles. Again, the fantasy scoring isn't super reliable for Piakura, but he's a young guy who's sort of playing his trade right now. So I reckon Piakura might be one of those guys who next year comes back with a good offseason and really shows out next year. But this year, it's still a bit of a learning curve, especially in a Brisbane team that don't have Adam Reynolds right now. It is a bit harder to sort of put things together. All right, Manly and the Knights. Sorry, just started on the Knights here. I thought the Knights were going to turn up in this game. I really did think they were going to turn up, and I get that they were missing a lot of their outside backs. So Manly obviously had an advantage in that area, but I thought Newcastle would show up in the forward pack and sort of really show out in that part of the game. And Manly just put the torch on, right? So Turbo was back at fullback and he was playing like it. And the outside backs absolutely carved up in this game. And that is reflected in these fantasy scores. So Leo Apawadi, top scorer of the week, 81 points. For him, look, 2 tries, a try assist, 2 line breaks, 7 tackle breaks, 269 run meters. Just a massive game from him. Ruben Garrick, 59 points, had the try. He got a rest as well, so only played 63 minutes. If you played the full game, you're looking at a 75-point game for him instead. So this is a massive game for Ruben Garrick. And yeah, if you got on Ruben Garrick as a keeper, great move. He's been an absolute stud. Jason Saab, his recent quality form has continued here. So you had the try, you had 2 try assists and 4 line breaks. Saab with 184 run meters too. He's just so quick, so explosive. And then going down the list here, Frizzell scored a try. He was the first member of the top scorers for Newcastle. Good to see him back to some big minutes as well on the edge. Brooksy, 54. Hastings, Turbo, also decent scores. Turbo, though, I will say, is such an elite regular footy player, but the play that he puts out on the field doesn't actually translate to fantasy most of the time. So if you watch that game, you would have thought Turbo was completely dominant, but it doesn't reflect here. So 52 points with the try, with 3 try assists. Not a massive score. Turbo needs to play so well in real life to get big fantasy scores, whereas you want to be targeting players who maybe play an average game and still get a big score, because then when they play really well, they crank out 80 or 90 points instead. Dylan Lucas, Pierce Paul, 50s. Will Price, again. Will Price getting it done. So 28 tackles. 137 run meters, 358 kick meters. That's the big surprise there. So Will Price has been rock solid. Just keep an eye on Gamble, who there's a bit of chat. He might sneak back into the team as well. Talau with a 49, big score from him. Humphreys had a big game, scored a try for 46 points on debut, so good on him. Nathan Brown and Sipley, 45 and 44 points each. Ola Kawatu saved his game, 43 points with a try. That was looking very dangerous for a while there. Simpkin, 39 points. He's done his job. There is talk that Croker may be back very soon. Then down the bottom of the list here, anyone else to talk about here? Fletcher Sharp scored a 30. Look, you can live with that in a game like that. Marzu, 16 points, not ideal. Did pick up that cork early in the game, though. So with Marzu, we're probably lucky that he stayed on the field, to be completely transparent, because he was hobbling around pretty early in that game. Anyway, that is the recap for this week. Hopefully your team went well. Keep an eye on things, because we are going to be doing a bunch of content around sort of the run home, ranking the top guns as well, and looking at them position by position and who we actually are going to be targeting for this period. Because with the 8 extra trades and with 8 rounds to go, it's very important to get these trades right and to use these trades wisely so that you're not having to trade guys in and out, and you can pick, stick, and run home strong. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.